Friends, what you see behind me is a really big deal. It's where I got my first real job. Well, where my brother got me my first real job, but we'll get into that in a minute. We're gonna talk about why the recession in 2008 actually prepared me for the crisis that's going on in 2020. Let's get into it. What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. You might hear a little bit of whirring, a lot of banging. That's because I'm here where I used to work long time ago, well over 15 years ago. But I used to work here. It used to be called Rouge Steel. Now I think it's called AK Steel. US Steel is right across the street. You get the drill. I took the scenic route here. Bike Life 2.0 is in full effect. Haven't really released any videos as it relates to that, but that's to come. I can't think of a better day to film and to give you guys some insight as it relates to my life and some of the lessons that I've learned. Early 2000s, my two older brothers, 6 and 7 years older than me, I'm riding in the back seat. My oldest brother, Dre, he's working at Rouge Steel. He's kicking it with my second oldest brother, and he's like, yo, let me show you what my check looked like. He's putting him on the game as far as what his bags is like. And I'm just like sheepishly observing in the background. I can't be any older than 20 years old, right? He pulls out a check stub, definitely over $2,000. Yo, I can get you in, I can refer you. You could be getting the bag too. My second oldest brother, he's like, yeah, that's some decent money, but I just want to work in the office. He wasn't getting bags nowhere near that. Later on that day, I kicked it with him, tapped him on the shoulder and was like, yo, I need you to go ahead and refer me in so I can get to that bag too. He's laughing, he's cracking up, he's like, bet, I got you. Fast forward, he gets me in. I start working unlimited overtime. 7 days a week, I'm clocking it. In the plant, getting to the bags. Single, young, nothing but opportunity ahead of me. I had like 2-3 cars. I had no idea or wherewithal to focus and make sure that I was putting money up. In my mind, I was gonna be getting this money for the rest of my life. Take no thought for tomorrow. Let's live for the day.
The signs were everywhere, but now it's official. We are in a recession. The research group that makes that determination made it today and said the recession actually started a year ago.
Financials took a big beating. Lehman down almost 20%.
The auto industry is collapsing. Washington is stepping in with a massive restructuring, and people's lives hang in the balance.
Continuing my journey and my tour through Dearborn, I haven't been over here in a minute, but I stay up to date with what's going on and everything that's happening in Dearborn from a bird's eye view perspective. But I'm down here at the condemned and abandoned Edward Hotel. For years, they've been trying to find a seller and somebody to take it over. And perhaps I'll go more in detail in another video where I document everything that's going on in this particular city. This hotel is fitting considering that the next phase of my life was absolutely in turmoil. Completely broke, bankrupt, not knowing what to do, everything in turmoil, and trying to figure it out. So skip a few years, fast forward to 2007, 2008, lost my job. Here in Michigan, the auto industry was laying off like crazy, which obviously affected so many other industries, including steel. And when I first lost my job, for whatever reason, it just wasn't a big deal to me. It was almost like I can always find another gig, another position. And that absolutely didn't happen. Found myself with a pregnant wife, my daughter, Leslie. She's absolutely awesome now. And it's so funny because she doesn't know what it feels like to have that turmoil, that uncertainty. She's never seen me in a state to where, you know, I didn't know what to do or I wasn't financially in a great space because she was born in February of 2008. And so she was literally a baby. After doing a couple of odd jobs here and there, Leslie is born, Rita can no longer work, and I gotta figure it out. At the time that the recession hit, in the beginning, nobody really knew what was going to happen. Like, nobody had been through a housing crisis. We had never lost jobs at this magnitude. And there was still a level of optimism, at least with myself, because, again, I had never been through it. I lost all pride and immediately embraced humility. I'm sitting in the hospital. Rita's asleep after giving birth to my daughter. I'm praying, having a conversation with myself, and I literally have a come to Jesus moment. I have no more time to waste. It's time to get back on my grind. I'm a grown man. I can figure it out. And while I'm figuring it out, I'm going to work my butt off. It was no opportunities available, nothing happening. And so I took the first thing that I can find. What I found was a sales job, 100% commission. I had no leads, no anything, but I had guaranteed the person that gave me the opportunity, the company that gave me the opportunity, I guaranteed them that I would work harder than anybody else. And that's exactly what I did. I would prepare early in the day, and then I would work all the way up until 8 o'clock at night, every single night. I would work so hard that my feet would be hurting from walking and grinding and calling and all of this other type of stuff that I was doing on a daily basis. But it gave me character. It helped me to overcome a lot of barriers as it relates to speaking directly to people and having courage and all of those things that come with sales jobs. I think that sales jobs are really great, especially for young people, because it allows them to get out of their comfort zone and learn a lot about people, learn a lot about business. Anyways, coming back to it, I still wasn't making much money, but I was making enough to survive while living in my parents' basement. My parents was kind enough and awesome enough to allow me, my newborn daughter, and my wife to live in the basement. All of my cars got repossessed. I remember my favorite was my truck. It was my Trailblazer SS with the Corvette motor engine in it. I was at a point to where I didn't even feel like I deserved to have my daughter and my wife, because I had promised myself that I was only gonna have one kid. Hopefully it was a daughter, and it was. And that I was gonna put every single thing that I had into that relationship and into my daughter. Yeah, I can sit and blame the economy. I can blame the housing market. I can blame Wall Street bankers. But at some point, I had to man up and take personal accountability and responsibility for my circumstance and my situation and grind. And I felt like I was failing at life. I couldn't see a real future for what was to come for my family or anything like that. Eventually, I found a daytime job where I can get some more stability in my life, and I decided to go back to school at night. I was going to school full time. I was working in the day and I was getting paid hourly. It wasn't much. It was something like $13, $14 an hour. I went back to community college, eventually transferred over into a university where I majored in software engineering. I started a new company to where eventually I sold it and made a lot of money off of it. I was starting to get into a lot of business. I was researching everything that I can find. I spent my weekends in the library. I was so hungry for knowledge and to really take advantage of the opportunities that was before me that I would forego going out to the show, hanging out with other people. And I would just be in the basement or in the library, grinding, studying, working, trying to build new businesses. And eventually, a lot of that popped off. The same time that one of my businesses was being sold and I was making a significant profit from it, I was getting a job offer before I even graduated from school. My life had started to transition into positive territory. But for me, it was important for me to remember the lessons that I learned over the last 4, 5, 6 years of going through the recession.
Fast-breaking developments in the coronavirus emergency in the U.S. and around the world. The number of cases soaring just today.
And across the nation, widespread layoffs, with states reporting a surge in applications for unemployment benefits, their websites crashing from the high demand.
You're looking live at our state capitol, surrounded by protesters this noon. Those descending on Lansing are upset with the governor's executive orders that have forced many businesses to close.
In a different section of Dearborn, this is further down more towards Oakwood and Monroe Street. And it's really nice down here. It's a lot of development. There's things that's continuously evolving, growing, a lot of construction. Kind of like how I feel about my life right now. Anyways, fast forward to today. That dedication, that commitment to really wanting to be in a space to be able to provide for my family, provide for my daughter, start new businesses, grow in corporate America, I think it's translated well. One of the things that really bothered me as I came to understand and grow more from a business perspective, opening new businesses, is when I was in that space to where I was living in my parents' basement and I couldn't do the things that I wanted to do, I became aware of so many different opportunities. I was paying attention to the market. I looked at all of the homes and all of the different businesses and properties that I couldn't get my hands on because I didn't have the resources, I didn't have the finances, I didn't have the credit, I didn't have a lot of the things that I needed in order to be able to make those decisions or grab up those properties or take advantage of the circumstances and the situation, and would have translated really well into my portfolio today. But I did make a lot of different business decisions that really worked out well for me, obviously. With that in mind, I made a promise to myself that whenever the opportunity presented itself again, I'd be ready. I wasn't going to be in a space to where I had blew all my money or I was just having fun because I was living up to whatever my income was at the time. If I made more money or I grew from a business perspective, then I was gonna buy a bigger house and all of that other type of stuff. I was really diligent and dedicated to making sure that I didn't make the same mistake twice. And I think that's the lesson here, is that anybody going through whatever it is that you're going through right now, don't make the same mistake twice. Learn from it, grow from it, work super duper hard, and then you'll realize that there's nothing that can break you. There's nothing that I can go through that I can't overcome at this point. I've already been through the worst of the worst. I've been through the grinder. I had to hustle. I had $0. As a matter of fact, I was in a negative. Things are awesome for me today. I can go where I want. I can buy what I want. I can retire early. I have all of those options now because for the past 10 years, I was making decisions long term. I was focused on not necessarily what was right in front of me, but the opportunities that was going to present themselves down the road. And everything is cyclical. It's always going to be a market crash, a recession here, a depression there. Like if you just pay attention to history, 87, 2000, 2008, 2020, and that's just in my lifetime. It's always going to be a roller coaster ride. You just have to continue to prepare yourself not to be a seller and to be a buyer. And that comes from doing your due diligence. That comes from putting the work in. That comes from learning the lessons. That comes from doing the things that other people are unwilling to do. There's growth in taking ownership of your circumstance and situation. Don't matter how the economy got to where it was. Did you learn a lesson? Did you figure out how to not let that affect you if it happened again? So this is just another layer peeled back for you guys. I just wanted to continue to have the conversation, showcase and give you insight based off my real life, real world experiences. Make sure you take the lessons that you've learned from my life and apply it to your life so you don't have to go through the same things that I went through. And I'll continue to take you along this journey if that's what you want to do. Make sure you holler at me at AntonDaniels.com. I love you guys. I appreciate you. I'll holler at y'all later. Peace.